how does this work? Okay, so you've got a person or a group of people with a particular issue. They've come to you for something. Okay, how do you use hypnosis to get people engaged enough to start to change? How would you do that? How do you do that as a motivational speaker as well?
Okay, so
is that cool?
Yeah. So I can give you a quick rundown. In fact, it goes directly in line with what we're talking about here.
Perfect. Okay.
So what's important? First of all, again, right? You got to know you got a problem, right? We were just talking about this over the break. You have to know that you have a problem. So let's say we've established that fact. Somebody comes in, they're like, I am depressed. The first thing that I would do is not look at somebody as a diagnosis. I never look at somebody, whenever somebody comes in and they say, I'm depressed, in my head, the first thing I'm thinking of is not, why are you depressed? It's, what is depressing you?
Yeah. What's the difference?
Well, the difference is that depressed is a nominalization. It turns
why as opposed to what?
Oh, well, you can't. Why creates justification. So when you ask why are you depressed, and there's different ways to ask why. But if you ask, why are you depressed, what's going to happen is they're going to say, well, because of this, and mom said that, and dad was like this, and this, and this. And then they look back at that entire checklist and they're like, fuck, no wonder I'm depressed.
Yeah, so it just
strengthens it. And it creates reasons for being depressed, which solidifies and basically pours instant concrete over the entire thing. And what? Or how, or when, really, where and when is the first thing that I always ask. So, what's the problem? Right? Oh, I'm depressed. Where and when does it happen? Where and when, and we'll talk about this a little bit more in detail as well. Finding out where and when it happens allows you to take what somebody thought of as a solid thing, right, called depression. Like, when you say, I have depression, it's, what do you call it? It's, I have it. It's, the word is,
actualizing, or
sort of.
When you have it?
Yeah, to have depression turns it into almost,
Possessive?
Possessive, thank you. That was the word. Right here. It becomes a possessive, which means that it's like, oh, well, just like I've got keys, I've got depression. Yeah, well, show it to me. Show me your depression. Here. Mike's like, I'll show you depression!
It's a battery right now.
But that's
okay.
a very
By the way,
good,
I can work with this. If this is real, and somebody carries around a thing to remind them of all their problems, now we've got a metaphor. Now we've got a symbol we can work with. We can start doing some Gestalt stuff, which is also very cool. Just not something we have time for here. So thank you. So it becomes possessive when you say, I have depression. But when you say, where and when does it happen, it takes that possessiveness and it turns it into, first of all, into history. It takes it into the past already. Because they say, oh, well, it happens when I'm sitting at home and I'm watching TV and I look around and I see nobody's there. Now we've got a story. Now we've got something to work with. And what it does as well is it takes this depression and it looks at it situationally, which means that instead of having a particular issue, you've got the issue here, 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 you got a big one there, and you got an issue here, and an issue here.
God, they look like zits.
Oh God, I was thinking of bubbles.
Oh. A little bit more positive than I am right now.
So, here you've got a set of things which somebody who follows the DSM would just categorize this whole thing as depression. But instead, what we do is we say, okay, well, where and when does it happen? And so we start talking about this one here, right? However, you can't solve a problem without resources. So you can't just talk about the problem. You also have to you also have to know that the person who has the problem also has to know how they want to be instead. They have to have some kind of goal. They have to be able to access their own vision of what the solution is going to look like. They have to be part of the solution. And they have to feel the solution as well. So if you want it to be really fast, and notice, by the way, now we're talking about the solution. When you're actually doing therapy, right, what am I doing as a hypnotist by asking about the problem? I am recreating the state.
You're changing the mindset from problem to solution.
Bingo, right? Get them to feel good enough about the solution, get them wallowed in this for long enough, and then what happens is you take all those good feelings and you say, okay, well, then think about that problem that you were having. While you're feeling good like this, knowing that this is what you want, think about the problem. Oh, and they're like, oh, well, actually, it's not such a big deal anymore. And what you've done is you've converted problem into resource.
Yeah.
So that now they've got a success story. They're like, oh, that's actually good now. And then you say, are you sure? And you test the shit out of it until you know that they're convincing you that they're feeling better. Do you remember when you were sat here in the chair and I said, wait, are you sure you're feeling better? And you're like, yes, Gabe, I'm sure. Enough already. I can because, there I am and I'm standing at the top and I'm looking over and it's totally fine. It's fine. And I'm like, okay. The reason I pushed you so hard is because you ended up convincing me that you were all right. I didn't have to do any work.
The only way I could get you to shut up is by being all right.
And if that's as far as I have to go, then excellent, right? Sometimes you just have to bore people into submission.
I've done that enough times.
Right? Isn't that like teacher hypnosis though? Right? And the square root of the thing is now, the thing we have to know. Pop quiz next week.
That method also allows people to feel successful.
Yes.
If you feel successful,
Yes.
then you want to build on that.
Yes,
I feel like
and guess what?
Yeah.
It's way easier then to have this now. Now this one turns into... And then you convert that one, you convert that one, you convert that one. Next thing you know, you've got this whole armada of resourceful states to tackle the big one.
What do you mean by it's a resource? Let's go with the first one. You said, when I'm alone at home and I'm watching TV, that's what depresses me. How does
Right.
that become
Okay.
a resource?
Do you wanna like role play?
Sure.
Okay, so you just told me that, and I'll say, okay, well, what would you want to have instead when you look around? Is it the television, or is it something that happens when you look around? Just imagine anything.
I'd like a friend or a family member to be next to me instead of me being alone.
Okay, what would that be like? A
Uh,
friend, family member next to you.
It'll feel comforting.
Comforting, eh?
Okay. I won't feel alone.
Okay, so notice the difference between saying I feel comforting and I won't feel alone, right? I won't feel alone is just thinking about what you don't want again, right? Attention, going back to the problem.
Okay.
So I'd be like, wait, so tell me more about the comforting thing. And we start talking about what it's like to have a comforting friend until you're feeling so comforted that we're like, okay, so as you think about having a comforting friend there, what's it like thinking about how you can resolve the issue? And by the way, you just gave me the solution to the problem, right? You said, I'll have a friend there.
Yeah.
So this will do one of two things. Either they have friends and they forgot because they've been busy, watching, every episode of Breaking Bad that exists in all their spare time.
Guilty.
Right?
I have no more friends.
Yeah, exactly, right? They may have just forgotten, or we might have just uncovered a larger issue, which is maybe I don't have friends. Now we can talk about other things, right? But we have at least dealt with the fact that you know what you want,
Okay.
right? We've gotten you to a place where you know in this particular situation what you want, but now we know that this isn't actually the problem, right?
Okay.
The problem that's just the final symptom is there you are sitting at home, and
So the problem is that they don't have friends.
it might be, right? If that's what they
So
say,
Sure. Okay.
right?
So how do you perceive, what is the problem as far as you are concerned?
Well, it depends. I gave two options here. One is either that I forgot that that I actually do have people that love and care about me, and whom I can invite over. A lot of times, just feel in which case that's feelings of self-worth. It's with help. It's easy to deal with. It takes some time, right? Nothing is, but it's incredibly fast, especially when you know the skill set and you can pass that skill set along. So, then the other option was I don't have any friends. Right? So it is, oh yeah, I have friends, I just forgot, or I have people that care about me, or it's I don't have any friends, or I don't like my friends, or I'm not in a good neighborhood, or I don't. There's a whole variety of things, but now we get to pick out the pieces, which could be these things here, right? In which case, then we deal with that. Oh, you don't have friends? Great. So then that might also have to do with, well, mom never let me see people, so I don't have social skills. Oh, okay, so then you also need to work on your social skills. And now we tackle all of these particular things, but they're separate. It's not depression anymore, right? They're all separate. You tackle them one at a time as they come up, instead of having to say, why are you depressed? What happened to you?
If you enjoyed the clip and you want to learn much more so you can become a more positive force in the world, come check us out at our next meetup this Thursday, May the 26th at 7 p.m. RSVP at www.meetup.com/learnhypnosis. We're looking forward to meeting you. We'll see you there.